abusing them, physically abusing them, sexually abusing them. Adverse childhood experiences. Now, adverse childhood experiences. Mentally abusing them, physically abusing them, sexually abusing them.
Adverse childhood experiences. We got the unpredictable stresses that children go through, like losing mommy or daddy, or watching them go to jail, forced to grow up because they've been touched down there. They even see parents depressed with no time to spare. This is why the kids are lonely, traumatized. That's why ACEs matter.
So have you heard about these things called ACEs?
I mean, I think I heard of them, something about adverse childhood experiences. Why you ask me that?
Yeah, that is what ACEs stands for. And I was reading this research from the CDC, and like you said, adverse childhood experiences, you basically take these 10 questions and it's going to give you a score, 0 through 10. What was fascinating about this research was they said if you score a 5 or more, they be saying you're a risk to society.
So what you're saying is both me and my sons are a risk to society? They build prisons in preparation for people with these untreated ACEs, don't they?
Yeah, basically. Unless, of course, they go untreated and you catch them early. But that ain't it. You know what else the CDC said?
What?
The CDC said that diabetes, obesity, cancer, heart disease, and stroke are all associated with these things called adverse childhood experiences, aka ACEs.
Stop. So what you're saying is, if the streets don't kill me, the diseases resulting from these ACEs will? The diseases resulting from these ACEs will? What about alcoholism? I got a couple of people that's been messed up on alcoholism in my family. A couple of them done died.
That's in there too, but I'm just talking about the top 5. We ain't even got to the tip of the iceberg. Check this out. You know what else they said?
What?
They said 1 in every 6 people have at least a score of 4 or higher.
1 in every 6 people have at least a score of 4 or higher.
So what you're saying is, at least one person on this call right now should have been incarcerated or at risk for early death because of these untreated ACEs?
Basically.
The reality is that we all need a certain amount of stress, a certain amount of anxiety to perform well. If we don't care about that exam that we're going to have tomorrow, we'll probably fail. If we're going to cross the street and a truck is coming at us, we have release of adrenaline. We have release of a hormone that we call cortisol. We want to jump out of there, and adrenaline and cortisol are going to help us do that. So there's that good amount of stress. But if all day long you're feeling like the truck is coming at you, day after day after day, that's going to take a toll on the body. And the amygdala obviously here has greater activation.
Yes.
In the PTSD. We were able to image children that had experienced trauma and compare those brain images with children that didn't have an experience of trauma, didn't have symptoms.
Right, an exaggerated fear response.
An exaggerated fear response with decreased activation in areas that we need to control that emotion, in the frontal areas.
Exposure to early adversity and trauma literally affects the structure and function of children's developing brains. So the kid next to them hits them, or the teacher reprimands them in a way that they're uncomfortable with, right? Literally what they're feeling, that activation is like there was a truck coming at them. You can give something that will mask symptoms, right? For example, if someone has a cough, right, you can give them a really strong cough serum that will suppress their cough. But if it's because they have tuberculosis or lung cancer, then what you're doing is merely masking the symptoms while the disease process continues to fester. We know what's happening in children's brains and bodies with the experience of toxic stress. So the question now is, what do we do about it?
Thank you for joining us for another episode of ACEs Matter Live. My name is Micah, and I'm your host today, or as we like to call ourselves, Reachers. And I am the founder of ER for Traumatized Children, and the ER stands for Emotional Rehabilitation. And I come to you every second and fourth Friday of the month. And to have a 60-minute educational conversation about ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. I am a reacher and contributing show host for ACEs Matter Live. On the show, we interview lived experience survivors and subject matter experts on the topics related to childhood adversities and adult mental health. Anyone that has experienced childhood could benefit from listening, but particularly those that are having a hard time with adulthood because of your childhood. Now, I cannot go any farther without giving you our disclaimer. As a reacher for ACEs Matter, I use my social media platform to educate others about the effects of ACEs. As a reminder, this show is for educational purposes only, and some of the content might be triggering for some adults. Please consult a medical professional if you need immediate assistance. Now, somebody may be tuning in today and never heard of ACEs. Well, ACEs are forms of childhood trauma recognized by mental health professionals worldwide. ACEs is not something that we just come up with. ACEs are negative events that affect the developing minds and bodies of children under the age of 18. So not only do ACEs negatively affect children, but the negative effects such as physical and mental illnesses often cross over into adulthood. Somebody may be asking, what is ACEs Matter? What is ACEs Matter Live? Well, ACEs Matter is a charitable fundraising service for promoting research and education for those affected by childhood trauma or adversities. ACEs Matter is on a mission to have every home and community talking and doing something about adverse childhood experiences. Before I go on, I am a minister. I've got to bring God in everything that we do, everything that I do. And so I just want to give us an encouraging scripture today. And my scripture today will be coming from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. And it says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I don't care what's going on in your life. Christ will give you the strength to make it through. Sometimes we read this scripture and we think that the writer is just talking about storms in our life, bad times in our life. But I want to tell you that he's saying that everything that you're going through, it doesn't matter if it's mental, it doesn't matter if it's physical, if whatever you're going through, God will give you the strength to make it through. So somebody out there may be going through some bad times tonight. Somebody out there may be in some mental, may be experiencing mental illness tonight. Somebody may be going through just aches and pains tonight. But whatever you're going through, if you call out to him, he will give you the strength to make it through. And don't ever forget that, because he has told us that he will never leave us, nor will he forsake us. And so I just want to, I hope that encourage somebody that whatever you're going through, God will always be there. And not only will he be there, he will give you the strength to make it through whatever you're dealing with. And so now we want to introduce our guest today. She's already taken part in the show, so I want to officially introduce her. She is a friend, first of all.
Amen.
She's a friend. She's a coach, a spin instructor. She used to work at Weight Watchers. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Weight Watchers. So, you know, she not only can she tell you that you need to eat right, but she can prove how you need to eat.
That's right.
And the funny thing is, when you take her classes, because I've been in a lot of them, the last thing she ended up with, she has wrote us hard. She tells us that don't go out and kill your exercise by eating wrong.
That's right. Don't kill your workout.
Don't kill your workout. And that's her words out there by every class.
That is correct.
Don't kill it. Because why we need to come in there and ride hard for 45 minutes and burn 500 calories, then go out and put it right back on.
Exactly.
I can sit down in one meal and eat 400 or 500 calories.
Oh, we all can.
But she is a spin instructor, a coach, and she advocately works out every day. Is that correct? Every day?
I may take one day a week off, but most days it is
most days, every day. So
I love it. Yes.
She believes in working out, and she has her own podcast show also. And it's called Motivate with KR. And I had the privilege that she interviewed me one day, and we had a very good conversation about ACEs and childhood trauma. So now help me welcome my friend, spin instructor, Katina Oneal.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you, and just honored to be on this platform with you. And I tell you, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you here with us today, because I know that everything that you do, and you are passionate about the things that you do. You are passionate about your podcast. You're passionate about being a spin instructor. You're passionate about health and wellness. And the topic of our show today is healing the whole person.
Okay.
You know, I believe that if we just heal part of us, then we'll go back. But if we heal the whole person.
Come on now.
And when I say the whole person, I mean mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally.
Come on.
So today we're going to focus on the physical part of healing. That's why you are our expert today.
Well, glory.
And we could get into spiritually, but we're going to keep it on the physical part today.
All right.
So Katina, tell us a little, I told a little bit, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, as you stated, Michael, earlier, I am a spin instructor. I've been in healthcare for over 25 years, and I've seen...
wait a minute, you just don't breeze over that. You've been in for 25 years.
I have been in healthcare for over 25 years. I'm going into my 29th year of healthcare.
Wow.
22 will be my 29th year of healthcare. So
okay.
I have seen a lot in healthcare, and as working in healthcare, it has helped me to see, it has helped me to find what area. I work in a revenue cycle. That's my job.
Yes.
That's my job. But my passion is health and wellness. I love to see people healthy, spirit, soul, and body. But you know, I'm married. I have 3 children, 2 grandchildren. I'm a spin cycle instructor, like you said. I'm certified instructor. I'm also, I have been a WW Weight Watchers, was now WW coach for over 10 years.
Okay.
And I have my own podcast that I just started this year that I love so much. And it is Motivate with KO, where we motivate people to live a healthy, whole life, spirit, soul, and body. And just to help them believe in themselves. You know, a lot of people want to do it, but they don't know the tools to do it, or sometimes they just don't know how to step out. And so I try to, if I see a little bit of something in them, if I see just a hair of want to do it, I'm gonna push it and drive it in them till we see it happen. So.
Oh, I know that from your class. If you never had a class,
well, you know,
under Katina,
if we gonna work, we're gonna work hard.
She's gonna make you work hard. She's gonna
right.
make you work hard in that. She's gonna make you give your best for 45 minutes.
I sure am.
As we get ready to go farther in our show today, as I said, the topic of our show today is healing the whole person. And as we said that healing the whole person is what we do, go along with each other. And so as we get ready to go into it, we know that everybody knows Katina. And everybody knows Katina. So we always ask people to be a zip code hero. So what is a zip code that you want to shout out today?
Well, I think I want to shout out area code zip code 38801, because I have so much support in this area. I've met so many people in this area, and they always show me love. So I want to show them some love. So 38801. All
right, that's our zip code hero. Today, our zip code that's going to be shouted out today, 38801. Okay, Katina, as we go on into the next segment of our show here, we have some stats that we want to talk about.
Okay.
And as you was in the health profession, you're a coach, you would probably know some of these, and maybe some of them you won't, but let's talk about it and see. Together.
Okay. All right.
And then later on in the show, we may bring it up again, talk about them some more.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. The first stat is we're talking about the effects that sugar have on our children. And is too much sugar can cause tooth decay, hyperactive, and increase the risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Now that's pretty common.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but this is one that I didn't know. It says one of the most common effects sugar can have on our children are cold-like symptoms. I didn't know that.
I did not either. I didn't. That's a new one. That's good, though.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, because sometimes our children can be having cold-like symptoms and we think it's a cold and be dealing with it as a cold and don't understand that they're getting too much sugar.
Wow.
That's a good one. I'm glad I found that one.
That's an eye opener.
It is. And this next fact, it's about relieving sugar and going into nutrition and nourishment of our children. And it said during childhood, undernutrition causes children to have less energy and less interest for learning, which is negatively influence cognitive development, which is learning. Did you know that undernourished child, it harms their learning abilities?
I can see that. Yes. Yes.
I can too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we'll talk about it again later, but in my profession and dealing with traumatized children, that's the first thing on our training that we always had to have some kind of nutritious food out for them.
Because food, it's nourishment. Yes.
It is. And so the last one we want to talk about is, did you know that children at the early age of 3 years old have self-imaging problems? As early as 3.
Wow.
I think a lot of that may be due to what they see on TV.
Yeah.
A lot of it, may not be all of it, but I think a lot of it is that, but that's an early age.
That is very early.
About.
Wow.
That's really scary, isn't it?
Yes, that is, wow.
Yes.
That's wow.
3 years old. And you already thinking about how you look. That's still a baby.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yes. Wow.
Those are some facts, and that's going along with our show topic today, and we may bring those back up today as we go along.
Okay.
Okay. So, Katina, we know that you were part of the name has changed to what I still want to say, call it by the old name, but it's not Weight Watchers anymore.
Right.
It's say that again.
It's WW.
Okay. So we know. So that's what we're going to keep our show surrounded around health and fitness today, because it goes along with both what we both do. Okay. So we had some statistics and talked about how sugar affects our bodies and children's bodies. So in your words, how does sugar affect your body? Or in your words, tell us, how does sugar affect our bodies? Maybe not just children, but anybody, even adults. Let me put it like this. I've heard that sugar is what's the word I'm looking for? Is addictive.
Ooh.
That's where I want to get to right there.
Okay.
Is it really addictive?
Okay.
Explain that.
Okay, well, you asked, how does sugar affect your body?
Yeah.
Well, it's several ways. After my first of all, let me say I'm not a professional nutritionist. That is my disclaimer. I'm not a professional nutritionist, but from my study and from my years of being a WW coach and from just living it myself, I see that having too much sugar, it can cause high blood pressure.
Okay.
It can cause inflammation, which can also cause weight gain, diabetes, fatty liver disease, and all of those are linked to heart disease.
Okay.
And people say, you eating grapes, they have sugar in them. Yes, you eat grapes, you can eat sugar. They both have sugar, but those are two different kinds of sugars. And a lot of times people will eat a little bit of sugar and then they'll eat more sugar. It's like a crave. It just makes you want to eat more sugar. And when you cut out sugar, you have less inflammation. It boosts your energy level. It even makes you be able to focus more. When I cut back my sugar, I'm not as drowsy. I don't feel as heavy. I'm more focused. I'm more driven. And at first, once you do decide to cut out sugar, you will have the headaches. You will go through almost like withdrawals, like a drug addict. You begin to go through withdrawals because you've been giving your body something that it really doesn't need, and it doesn't, because you don't need the sugar to survive. And so when you try to pull back from that sugar, you'll have the headaches, you'll have the dizziness, you'll have the confusion, because you've been giving your body something so long that it doesn't need. And then when you pull it back, it's like, whoa. So too much sugar has some
a lot of bad effects. Of course, the fatty liver disease, that's what you don't want, because it, like I said, it's linked to so many other things. And heart disease, especially in the African American community, is the number one killer among African. It's heart disease. People think it's cancer. They think it's or sickle cell, but it's actually heart disease. That's the number one killer in African American community and in the state that I live in Mississippi.
Yes, it is. And that's another point that I can make right there about what we do go along with each other, because children, we know that children that has grown up in trauma and adversities, and it's a link to it that if they're not healed as a child, one of the long-term effects of it is heart disease, diabetes. So I'm looking at it in the way, if we already have that tendency, a child has grown up in ACEs, and now we're getting too much sugar.
Oh, wow.
And we already have the tendencies. Now that's just adding to the problem.
And they're not able to focus, because most children that are in ACEs, they can't focus. They have these mental problems. And I think you mentioned this before when you was on my show. You mentioned that children, they have hard time focusing, because if you get, even as an adult, if I feed my body too much sugar or too much, I can't focus. I can't see what I need to be doing, because I've got all those toxins in our body that are not good for us.
Right.
And so releasing our body of those toxins and detoxing and doing a natural detox, just starting to just take from it. It does make a big difference, and it can be challenging, but it can be done.
Yes. And see, we need to be educated on things like this. Physicians need to be educated, because if we take a child, and I've seen it happen, take a child and the teachers are saying that, well, they have ADHD. They can't focus in class. They all over the place. And so we take them to the doctor, and the first thing they want to do is put them on medication.
Ooh, you're right about it.
And so sometimes they could just be dealing with the symptoms of what's really going on. Maybe they're getting too much sugar. Maybe they have grown up in adversities. And so until a lot of times we just want to treat the symptom and give them a lot of medication.
Exactly.
Even the medication that is not treating the root of the problem, it's not going to help them.
And Michael, a lot of times if you just change their eating habits,
yes,
that will help. I mean, that will help a lot. I mean, and I know some people say, well, I can't afford to give them fruits and vegetables, so they'll give them Little Debbie snacks, or they'll give them what are those, cheeses and things like that. Okay, if you're gonna give them cheese, give them string cheese. Don't give them Little Debbie snacks. Those things are just add to, and it just makes those make the problems worse. It just magnifies the problem. So they got all this sugar, and they're excited that they're getting sugar, and they're more sugar, and they're not able to go back to, again, what we mentioned earlier, they're not able to go back to focus on what they need to focus on.
Okay. Katina, can you talk about what inspired you to get into this field? Did someone talk to you about food growing up?
I grew up in your traditional Southern Black home where whatever was on your plate, you ate it. You did not leave.
Yes.
We had a happy plate. Because I grew up in a single family home, and so my mother worked hard to provide for us, and so it was almost like an insult if you did not eat your food up. And so I developed bad habits. I ate, and after we got through eating, after every meal, we're gonna get something sweet. We're gonna get a dessert, whether it be some bread pudding, a cornflake bar. I mean, we was just gonna get something sweet. And so I didn't have those healthy habits eaten up. It was not until I got to be an adult and I began to suffer with weight problems my own self, and I also began to get have high cholesterol, and I don't like taking medication. So I made a decision then that, when the doctor told me, he said, you have 30 days to either to have some progress, make progress. So it was then I said, I can do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. So I just began to walk, and I just began to to try to eat good when I could, and that helped. And so that's what challenged me. That's what caused me to get into health and wellness, because I didn't want to be a statistics. I didn't want you to have to read about me. I didn't want you to say another Black woman or another female that's on this medication. I didn't want that. And I wanted to be an example for my children that if you put your mind to do something, you can do it. Something that's impossible. I didn't have examples. I didn't have family that was healthy. I mean, my family was always thin and healthy because they always played basketball. They were healthy that way. But as far as just eating salads, eating grilled food, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Okay. And so we know that you love working out. You love to work out. You love to spin. And so, since we know this, we know that exercise is not just good for the body, but can you tell us a little bit how it's good for the mind also?
Yes, it sharpens your memory and your thinking. Those same endorphins that get when you're working out, those endorphins that are going, those same endorphins also help you to concentrate. It aids in mental sharpness, and it also stimulates the brain cells. I mean, who don't need their brain cells stimulated?
That's right.
I mean, and it promotes cardiovascular health. It improves brain flow, and it also reduces inflammation. And it lowers the levels of stress.
Yes.
Lowers stress levels tremendously. And so I love exercise. I don't do it. I do it because it does make me feel good. But I do it because I know I'm doing something for my body that my body needs, and it's going to help my body be better.
Okay. And it's good we having you on today, and you mentioned that about our race of people, and that's good because our race of people, we need to hear this.
Yes, we do.
Because we have, like you said before, we have the highest rates of diabetes.
Ooh.
And, and sometimes we make a joke about it, down here in the South, we want to fry everything. We got to have that piece of cake when we get finished eating that piece of pie, that ice cream, or like me, I want the ice cream and the cake. And so it's good. It's good for us to hear the health and wellness side as well as the trauma side, because we as Black people, we need somebody to look up to that's doing better. Like you said, you didn't have anybody, and I didn't have anybody either. And I ain't like that until I married my wife. And my wife, she's a beast.
Ooh, she go hard.
She go hard. Yeah, and I'm in the best, and I'm eating better now too. But our point is, like you said, as a Black race, it's not enough. It needs to be more of us out in front, advertising to eat better, do better, and things like that. So, and what I always say, I like to say, if we save one, we save a generation.
That's right. I love that. I love that. And you mentioned about our generation, and that's another thing. When I started this journey over 10 years ago, I didn't see most of the Black women that I saw were famous people. I didn't see, I saw my athletes, but I didn't see everyday people around me. There was a few people in the community that I saw that worked out or that I saw ran, but it wasn't a lot. And I wanted to make a difference because I knew that we could do this. There's nothing that we can't do if we don't put our mind to it. So we can do it. We can do it. I can do it. You can do it. You all listening can do it. So it can be done.
Yes. And that's what, if you listen to your podcast, that's what you talk about all the time in your podcast. You want to motivate people to live better, live a good life, physically and spiritually. And I love that about your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. I always like to go back to your class because I had some good times and the hard times in your class. And there was a few times I just wanted to get off my bike and leave.
No,
I'm not going to say that there. And if anybody never has taken a spin class, it's more than just riding a bike.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that now. I've talked to a lot of people think they're just spin class is just going in there riding a bike, just like you, but it's a lot more than that. And I always remember you are big on heart rate. If don't allow your heart rate to stay up too high for too long.
That's right.
And one of the things that I thought about that as I was thinking about this interview, our children that live through trauma, that's one of their problems, because they when they go in survival mode.
Oh wow.
You get in survival mode, your heart rate races.
Wow.
And it's to send more blood and oxygen to the parts of your body that you need for survival.
Right.
And so my question is for you, what happens if your heart rate stays too high for too long?
That's easy.
Okay. There you go.
And I work in a cardiology clinic now, and I see so much. The average heart rate, the average person heart rate shouldn't be high, or maximum high, should not be at their maximum height, no more than 10 seconds to, at the latest, 1 minute.
Wow.
A very good athlete can perform at 2 minutes. The world's best, we're talking about your elite workouts, like your CrossFitters or your LeBron James. To me, they're some of the best athletes. That 3 to 4 minutes at the most. But why would you want your heart rate to be that high for so long?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, I don't know what that means. That, if you are, how do I calculate my heart rate? How high does my heart rate need to be? If you take your age, say you're 20, and you say, you subtract.
A long time ago.
Yes. Okay, long time ago. And if you subtract 20 from 220, that is the maximum rate that your heart rate needs to be. You do not need to be no more than at that rate, which is 200, because 220, you subtract the 20 from the 220. But you don't want to be at that rate so long. And if you get at that 200, you need to be dropping. You need to stop. And I'll tell people, my heart rate runs high. It's because I just have, I always have ran high. I can't eat I can't take in a lot of caffeine. And so I have something programmed on my Apple Watch that when my heart rate gets too high, my watch will indicate that my heart rate is too high, and I will drop back. And it's not that I'm not heart healthy. It's just for some reason, my mom's heart rate has run high. So I think it's almost hereditary. So I really try to pay attention to that. And I try to tell people that it's dangerous to operate in a high level heart rate for so long, because overexerting it can cause other injuries, and we don't want that. We don't want, I was doing my research, and Mayo Clinic published that says that overexerting your heart rate and too much exercise can cause so many other problems. You're trying to exercise and you're trying to do too much, and you can revert back to where you started. I mean, with all the exercise and keeping your heart rate, you can make yourself worse than you were health-wise before you even started.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you. That leads me into my next question. We always hear too much of a good thing can be bad.
Well, that's what they
you
say.
Just answered that question. Or even too much of exercise can be bad for you.
It can. 30 minutes of moderate to exercise is good. Of moderate to intense cardio a week is good. 30 minutes. That's about 5 days a week, 150 minutes. That's good. Some people can work out. I know some people work out 3 and 4 hours a day. I'm not going to work out that long. I don't have that much time in a day to dedicate to it. It's important to me, but I know that too much of it can break my body down. And so I try to do at least an hour a day, whether that's lifting weights, whether that's doing some kind of cardio. Of course, you can get your cardio from lifting weights. So that's running, walk. And sometimes walking is one of the best exercises you can do, and it's free. It doesn't cost you nothing to walk. Just a pair of good shoes and go. But yes, too much exercise can undo everything that you're trying to accomplish.
Okay. And last question I want to ask you. We're just having a good time today. And I'm learning so much today.
Oh, good.
Learning so much. But on my last webinar, we talked about the link between obesity and trauma. So we have a lot of children that's growing up that's been in trauma that hasn't healed from it. And one of the long-term effects is obesity. They're overweight. So if that child grows up overweight, how hard is it for them to lose that weight as they become an adult?
Well, you know, it can seem very hard because they're facing something that they're walking on untreated territories that they haven't been. You know, they're stepping in places that they haven't been, and that's where they're having a healthy body. So with anything, it can be challenging because you're having to reverse everything that was put in.
Yes.
Even as far as from putting a lot of food on your plate, washing your portion sizes, having a colorful plate. I grew up, my plate wasn't colorful. It would have like greens, cabbage, but it would be with ham hocks, fatback, you know, those things. So if you start saying that, you know what, this is where we are, I think once that person's mind is made up, once they realize the importance of it, people don't realize, I think, the importance of putting the right things in their bodies and the outcomes of what it do. It can either hurt you or it can help you.
Yes.
And so as children, I think once you get them some good coaching, get them a nutritional coach, and get them a mentor and somebody to help them, because there's gonna be a day when you want to eat something, you know, because most kids want to eat ice cream, they want cookies, and they want stuff that's not real healthy. But if they get someone to say, okay, well, you can have a treat, not every day, just start making little small steps, because every little small steps make big steps. You know, I always tell people, take one meal at a time. Don't try to look at the big picture. Let's deal with today. Take one meal at a time. And then just, you know, drinking your water, exercising, and just finding something that you enjoy doing. And most kids love to play, so let them go outside and play.
Let them go outside.
Up and let them go play.
Yeah. And so we have really enjoyed having you. And since you are our expert today, you've already given us some solutions, but we always have a solution spot in the show. So what I want to ask you now is, to end up everything, if somebody wanted to go on a diet and start working out to get healthy in life, I've made the decision right now. I've never done anything before. I've never dieted. I've never worked out before, but now I know it's time. What is the first step I should take before I start anything?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is, if you're looking to diet, you're not going to make it.
Okay.
Diet is just what it says, D-I-E.
Okay.
So first thing I'm going to tell them is, don't diet, because you're going to, what you have to do is you have to make a lifestyle change.
Okay.
You have to modify your lifestyle, and you have to commit to making a change. And it starts here first.
Yes.
Everything starts in the mind.
Yes.
You have to decide, why do I want this? And I tell people when I teach a class, why do you want this? When you decide why you want it, it's almost like in the Bible he said when the Lord says, write the vision and make it plain. Your why needs to be your vision. Why do you want to do this? And it should almost bring you to tears. If that why don't touch your heart, yes, you want to lose weight to look good and feel good, maybe to go to a class reunion and fit in some jeans, but your why should make you. My why, I'm just telling you, my why is because I wanted my children to see that anything is possible if you put your mind to it.
Okay.
And so your why should make you say, whoa, I want people to, you got to just make up in your mind. Once you make up in your mind, I got this. Decide on your why. Educate yourself. Find you someone, a mentor. Get you someone who's already there. Get you someone that's going to hold you accountable, but not beat you over the head.
Okay.
and still love you.
Okay.
You know, that's the difference. You know, people want coaches, but we don't want nobody to pat us. We want somebody just to say, okay, now you slipped this time. I'm gonna let you slide, but now next time tighten up.
Yeah.
Because people need to be held to accountable. If you're gonna be successful at anything, you got to be held accountable.
That's right. That's right.
That's why I would say start out with your why, get you a coach, educate yourself, and just start making small steps. Don't try to overdo it. Don't try to say, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds in 2 months. No. Say I want to lose 1 pound at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's good. And I like that. What's your why? Find your why in everything that you do. You need to find your why. And I listened to your last podcast, and you talked about that on your podcast.
I did.
Find your why. If you find your why first, everything that's your first. Everything else, your why even overcome your fears in it.
Come on. That's right. That's right.
So, find your why. I like that. I like that. We have so enjoyed having you today, and I've learned so much today. And I just have to say this: when we're in your class, I talked about your class was hard, but when I was taking it, I dreaded coming. But when it was over, I'm glad I did it.
That's good. That's good. And life can be that way sometimes.
Yeah.
It seems hard in the process, but if you keep that goal in mind, and when you want to quit, you go back to your why.
Yes. Go back to your why. Well, Katina, as we're getting ready to close out, tell us how we could find your show, or where, if somebody's never heard your show and listening, where can they find it, and what day it's on so they can listen to it?
Well, thank you. Thank you again for having me, Michael. I have really enjoyed it, and I love what you're doing, and I'm just so proud that I can just have a little bit of input, you know, and hopefully someone was blessed by what we talked about on tonight. But you can find me on Envision Broadcast. My show airs every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm also on every digital platform, that's Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. You can find me there. You can also catch me on Instagram at _We Motivate. And every now and then I give out little tidbits, recipes, and you can also email me at wemotivate@gmail.com, and I give out monthly newsletters on just different tips, recipes, funny stuff, just stuff that encourages me, and so I just try to encourage other people with it.
Okay. So, Katina, thank you for joining us and coming and sharing your wisdom with us today. And I'm telling everybody to go and listen to Motivate with KO, and all the links to follow her and to listen to her podcast will be at the bottom. And so, as we always ask all of our zip code heroes to come on and share with us, since you know a little bit about ACEs now, and we talked about it in this show and when I was on your podcast. Since you know a little bit about ACEs, and our work actually goes hand in hand, will you go out? Will you tell somebody about ACEs now?
Oh yes, I have been, because it was an eye opener.
Okay.
Because it hit personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that, because we're trying to get ACEs out, and we're going to do the same thing about health and fitness out.
Right. That's right.
So thank you for joining us again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And as I get ready to close, remember to follow us at acesmatterlive.org. I'm not the only reacher. And listen to all the webinars that come on with all the other reachers. And I will be back on the 4th Friday, November the 26th. And as we get ready to go, I want to let you know that ACEs Matter Live is a charitable organization educating the world about ACEs. But to continue to bring this information, we need your help. So please go to acesmatter.org and hit that donate button. Even if it's just $5, we do appreciate it. So until next time, see you then.
If you have a birthday coming up, or maybe you'd just like to do something for the greater good, please consider starting a personal fundraiser on Facebook and selecting ACEs Matter as your cause. Need a reason? Well, we have 3 just for you. ACEs Matter helps families in need cover the cost of mental health services. ACEs Matter hires local contractors and even stay-at-home parents who need flexible work schedules. We care about humanity, and ACEs Matter provides free training and education to those who've been affected by childhood trauma. It's easy to set up a donation campaign from your Facebook account. From your phone or internet browser, type or search www.facebook.com/fundraisers. Select nonprofit, search for ACEs Matter, type in how much money you'd like to raise, choose an end date, give your fundraiser a catchy title, edit the default description if you'd like, then click Create. Congratulations. Now you can invite your friends, share on your timeline, and raise money for a great cause. For every ACE story told, an ACE can be prevented. 2 heartbeats from our house to yours.
ACEs Matter is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. EIN 85-1246674.